Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Ryan Aranda here, my best like Paraguay. And today we're going to be going over the top 12 things to know when renting in Paraguay. And we're going to be going over the 12 things to know if you're a contract renting, right? So not Airbnb, I mean. Yeah, and just really quickly before that, just a couple updates, and I'm gonna stop giving these, I promise. But just two things. I got merch available, so polos, sweaters, coffee mug is cool down below, so you guys can get that stuff right before the holidays. All designed by me. The logo is the same font and all that I use for my logo. And so if any of that stuff interests you, all of it's down below in the channel and in the videos. Okay, and also, uh, if you have a background in sales or you are interested in sales and you think you have skills that could translate well into sales, the company I'm working for is an international company, and it's we're looking for sales developers, in particular those who may be bilingual in German and English, but that's not necessary. Um, but prioritizing that. And so email me your resume if interested. And it's a fully virtual role. So let me know, and then I'll forward that on to my boss. Okay. So let's get into the topic now. These first three or four are all going to kind of have elements that have to do with one another, right? So just hang in with me there. Number one is the deposit. And here in Paraguay, we use the word seña, right? SENA, but in Spanish, SENA, seña, right? And if you don't have a guarantor, which is a cosigner, different countries may use in English different words for that. But if you don't have a guarantor / cosigner, you may be asked to pay one additional month's rent worth of deposit. Okay, so normally it would be you're paying for your first month of rent, and then on top of that, like normal, like in the States, you would pay one other month of rent that is used as your deposit, right? Or maybe half of that. But if you don't have a garante in Spanish, if you don't have a garante, you may be asked to pay 2 months as your deposit on top of your first month's rent. Okay, and I do want to distinguish. One is simply the deposit itself, and then that extra month that you would pay if you don't have a garante cosigner, then that would be applied to your last month of rent on your contract. Okay, so that's the whole deposit thing, and I just want to mention that because it really can vary, and most likely as a foreigner, you're not gonna have probably somebody down here, or you're not going to feel comfortable asking somebody down here. So again, it does go to your rent, no matter what, but that will be a requirement of you. Again, this is assuming that you're paying month to month and you're not paying everything at once, right? So let's get into what a garante is. Number two is what is a garante or a guarantor? A guarantor can be an individual, like I was saying, but it can also be a third party service, right? And I'm not going to get into all the details. Number one, because I don't know all the details, and but so yeah. So if it's an individual, that individual, just like in the States, I believe, they will have to provide documentation like their cedula, their ID, and also, I believe, proof of income for themselves as well. For in the case that you are not able to pay rent for whatever reason, they would step in and pay it for you, and whatever other things, you know. So That's in the case of an individual. Now there are these third parties, um, and you can submit this information online, right? And I believe it's like cedula, maybe your U.S. passport, and proof of income as well, something like that. And there is a fee for their service, right? I don't know exactly what it is, but obviously there's just a fee for it, right? Um, I honestly, before I get into the point number three, I don't suggest that you guys ask an individual or do this third party service. I just wanted to mention that it does exist though. Because coming as a foreigner, you're most likely going to have either that third month of rent if they require it for you, which is, again, is part of your deposit. Uh, but like in my case, I didn't want to ask anybody, and I didn't want to really do this third party service and go down that whole line, even though I was told that it does exist. But I just wanted to mention that it does exist, just in case you do want to go down that path. But I personally don't suggest that you do, and have a local, especially an individual, like down here, have to submit all their documentation and all that stuff. But if you find somebody, that's great, and then they can, that's great. Okay. Now, point or thing number three is negotiating rent. Um, so if you don't want a guarantor, like I was saying, um, and you don't want to pay essentially for 3 months, uh, you can possibly negotiate, right? Um, so this is not okay. Let me. All right, this is not always an option, but sometimes it may be an option that if you don't want to pay that third month deposit, right, the equivalent of what would be month three, that would apply to if you had a 12-month contract, the 12th month of that contract. If you don't want to do that, there's a possibility that they could just raise your rent a little bit than what they were originally asking. Okay. So in my case, I actually did do that. So I did the math, and it would have been more money for me to actually de- make that initial deposit than it would for me to just pay a little bit more in rent each month. Okay. It would come around like $20 extra a month. In my case, right? Because again, I didn't want to go down the line of getting a garante to sign on to my contract. So that's what I did. Okay. And also, the other part about, I guess, okay, so this is going to be point number four. Thing number four to know when renting is paying up front, right? It may be possible for some of y'all to pay up front. That's what I did for the first year when I was down here when I got my duplex. Now I'm in a different house, right? But if you pay up front, then you should get some kind of discount, right? In my case, I asked the Remax agent I was working with, hey, how much would the owner be willing to give me a discount if I pay up front in cash, right? Um, and that came out to be 5%, right? Which in my case translated to a few $100s, right? So if you do have it, right, or the ability to get it, it will actually save you, um, in the future. And in my case too, the dollar was stronger at that time, and I was like, I don't know if the dollar is going to stay this strong. I mean, the dollar was almost 8,000, and now it's below 7,000 guaraníes, right? So, uh, it if you feel that the dollar is strong, right, when and you do have the money, I do actually suggest it for those two reasons, because then you don't have to worry how much the dollar is worth in month two, three, four, five, six, seven. You get the picture. But also, you should come to some kind of deal that if you do that for a year, they're going to be very happy, obviously, and you should be able to get like a 5% discount. You know, so that that's the benefit of paying upfront. Again, in America, that would be unimaginable for a lot of people, but here, it may actually be possible for some people, or at least maybe your first year or something like that. Okay, so number 5 is read the fine print in your contract, right? I mean, this goes without, obviously, but I mean, in particular, what I mean about this is depending on the contract, landlords may or not fix issues like AC unit, for example. Like if there are AC units in your place, like for example, here at the house I'm at, it's actually on me to hire somebody to come and clean it like every 6 months. That was in the contract, right? I kind of didn't like that, but I mean, the is what it is, right? Also, so that's for things like that, right? There's some things that like should definitely be on the landlord. Like if there's like some like emergency thing or like some plumbing issue, I don't think that would ever come to be on you. But just make sure, Also, like in my contract as well, the contract said small dogs only, right? And that was going to be a deal breaker for because my guy is a medium to large dog. So I just asked the owner, well, I mean, if this is going to be an issue, and they love dogs, so it wasn't an issue. And he's a nice boy, he doesn't attack anybody or anything. Uh, so he is a bigger dog though, and I did say, okay, can we just make sure in the contract that this wording is switched so that I have a big dog, but it says little dog. So can we switch that before I sign it? Yes, it was no issue, right? Also, uh, oh yeah. So going back to the AC example, in my last contract with my duplex, there was something that my AC started leaking, right? The unit, and you have to get them checked like every half year or something like that. And so that was the case where it was included in the contract that a servicer will come out, but the landlord will pay for it, and you as a renter won't have to pay for it. Okay, so that was number 5, and again, there's more examples of this kind of stuff, but the point is just read the fine print, and a lot of you guys may be at different levels of Spanish, so get somebody translate it for you, or I don't know, chat GBT it or something like that for translation. But probably actually get a local though. Two eyes are better than one. Real people is still better than AI. So yeah. Okay, and number 6 is negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. Right? You're not in America anymore. You're not in the Western world. It actually is possible to negotiate some things. Again, so I give you already the example of getting 5% off if you pay up front, but you have to take initiative to tell them because they won't just offer that stuff to you. Like they should, but they won't. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, well, I'll pay up front, but can I get a discount? You know what I mean? So that's just one example, but also for the whole negotiation thing. For example, out here, I have my washing machine, right? But that area back here, unlike my last place, is not covered. So I had to ask for, and it was actually the suggestion of a Remax agent, because this is something that a local would absolutely want too, is a techito, which is a tiny little roof, to make sure that when the rain comes down, and there sort of already is, but it doesn't cover enough. So anyways, I had to negotiate for a tiny roof to be able to cover my machine, so my machine doesn't uh, get water on it and blow out and stop working, right? So that was a negotiation that I had. Also, in this place, there were no AC units, and I know that you guys would call me crazy for accepting a place like this, and I did because this is under 400 a month. But I negotiated for at least one in the bedroom here, right? Uh, and eventually I'll get one for the second bedroom, the guest bedroom, but I don't really have guests right now, at least. So that's holding off. I got an AC unit up here now in the main room, right? But I had to negotiate for that other AC unit, or at least one, right? At least one in the bedroom, right? And these things can be kind of costly, a few $100 up to like $500. Like this one was like $500. The one in the bedroom, if I'm gonna guess, like 375, 400. They're different BTUs, all that. I won't get into all that, but you get the picture, right? Negotiating is good, right? And even my uncle said, like, if you bring a local with you, like they could go even farther. And I know in my case, like, yeah, I'm decent enough at Spanish, but if it's even better to have a local with you. Like, my uncle said, next time you rent, Ryan, I'll go with you, and we can see if, like, they can throw in the light bill on their dime, and not on you to pay a part, So it is possible. It's good to have a local with you. To be honest, it's not necessary, but I do suggest it. You know. Also, they can't really pull one on me. Well, I guess they could, but it's all it's all good to just negotiate as much as you can, right? Because things are negotiable here. It's not in the States where everything is just set in stone. Okay, now number 7 is paying bills, and this is the one. This is the one that you guys that this deserves a whole video by itself, right? Because I want to get in the nitty gritty of actually how you're doing it, like on the computer, on your phone, all that stuff. But paying bills is different here, and it can get complicated. Um, in general, I'll just give basic breakdown though. So rent can be paid depending on your landlord. They're most likely going to want you to do a bank transfer, which is a local bank transfer. So what a lot of people have to do down here is take out money, cash from either Western Union um, or your ATM. Sorry, or your ATM, right, or whatever ATM down here. Then you have to go and put that in your bank account, right? And it gets annoying. But I actually just found out that some of these third-party services, like Akipago, there's other ones like I forget the name, but there's a lot of third-party services down here that my sister actually just told me that you're actually able to deposit money through those directly to your bank account, right? So you don't even actually have to go to your bank account, as long as it's a Paraguayan bank, you know, you can actually use these third parties to deposit money uh, into your bank account, right? And then from there, that's when you do the internal transfer. And pretty much any Paraguayan bank here, it doesn't matter if they have a different bank. You can do direct transfers, and it's even smoother than the States, you guys. Like in the States, like it takes 3 to 5 days, and like you have to sell your soul to the devil and all this stuff. No, but it actually is smoother down here. Once once you figure out your system of, okay, how do I get that in? Now there would be some landlords, like say like the lady lives next door type deal. That's like actually the case for my sister who lives in Capiata. In that case, they just go drop off cash, right? But my landlord here prefers bank transfers, right? They don't. I don't. I don't think they live around here, so I'm not gonna go like drop off cash, and they want their privacy and all that. You know what I mean? And so, hey, buddy. Okay, we're good. I don't even think you guys can hear it actually if he drinks loud. Anyway, okay, getting back to it. Yes. So and then okay, so that's rent, right? And then but no, you're not going to be able to pay rent with like card or anything like that. Um, so it has to be either bank transfer most likely, possibly cash if they're a little bit more local, and it's like you go down the street and give them cash once a month type thing. Okay, and now what are we on? Okay, actually, no, we're not to 8 yet. Number 7 still. Got to talk about this. Is paying bills. So you're depending on where you live, what neighborhood you live in. I've now lived in 2 neighborhoods in San Lorenzo. In my duplex, I was paying a light bill and what else? Oh yeah, the light bill to Ande, ANDE, right? It's a government thing. And actually, here I'm also paying the light bill to Ande, ANDE. They have a website, they have an app, right? Again, once you have money in your bank account, it's very simple to pay that. Now, when it comes to water bill, that can either be paid to, and it depends on where you live, but that will either be paid to ASAP, which is ESSAP, right? Um, and that can include water and trash. Okay, and they have a website as well. I don't think they have an app, but that can be done with bank transfer as well to pay that. Okay, but if like now that I live in a different neighborhood in a house, I actually pay my water bill to the aguateria. Okay, so an aguateria is a local place around here that I have to go to once a month in person. It really kind of sucks. It's the one thing that I can't pay through bank transfer, right? And and I have to go there in person. I have to pay in cash. They don't even accept internal bank transfers, which is amazing, right? They're like old school mobsters. They're freaking water people, you know. I'm just playing, you know. But seriously though, like it's a hassle, and even my landlord was like, "Oh my god, it's just that one thing in Paraguay that just refuses to like move ahead." And even actually when I came here, so that's the other thing. Getting into now trash pickup at my new house here, that's actually now another separate thing that's not paid to ASAP, which I mentioned before, but is paid directly to like a neighborhood service that like picks up your trash. I don't know, but it costs like uh, 55. What would that be? $7 or so a month for trash pickup. And it used to be they used to come around and you could pay, I think, either with card or cash, or maybe not card, just cash. But now you can actually do that for bank transfer, right? So the point is, depending on where you live, uh, those 3 things that I mentioned, electricity, water, and trash, can all be paid online. If it's through Ande and ASAP, right, which are both websites and then apps and stuff. Or if you live in a different neighborhood, you could actually have to go to the people who own the aguateria, and you might have to pay a different person. Like there's a lady who comes around here for the trash pickup. But the electricity is, I believe, everywhere it's going to be. You're going to pay that to Ande online, ANDE. Okay. Again, I know it's really boring stuff, but that is what it is. Now, I'm not going to get into. Actually, the last thing I will mention is Wi-Fi. I've rented brand new places here, so they've had to come and install the Wi-Fi, and they will drill, and they will it's all cords that link up to the wiring outside and all that. But yeah, once you're set up, you're good to go. And then all the Wi-Fi services here are very great. You can pay them all through your banking as well, online or via app. It's really smooth, the Wi-Fi stuff. I guess the last thing, cell bill is also very smooth. It's a lot of the times they're the same companies. I think there's 3 main ones now down here: Tigo, Claro, and Personal. Me, I have Personal for Wi-Fi, and I have Tigo for phone service, but I'm probably going to switch to Personal. Okay, I know that was a very long point, but paying bills is important, and I'll do a whole video on that so you guys can actually see what the apps look like and actually see what a banking slips look like and all that stuff. And so I will actually make that a video. Okay. So now number 8. These last ones should go pretty quick, hopefully. Okay. Number 8 is take initiative and remind. You have to remind your landlord for things, right? So if things need to be installed or fixed, um, let them know ASAP, right? So for example, they kind of were tardy, and it doesn't really matter because it wasn't when I first rented, was in the winter down here, so I kind of let it slide, right? Even though it wasn't the contract that I should have an AC unit like immediately, um, but I should have reminded them, right? So it took well over a month for them to actually like get somebody out here to install the AC unit. And then also the what I was mentioning before, the little roof, the extra roof to cover my machine so it doesn't mess up. That actually just happened. So I know I should have been on it, right? But don't be me. Take more initiative and keep reminding them, because they will like forget or whatever or whatever, especially if it's on their dime or whatever, So just make sure that, especially if it's in the contract, like these are things that were in the contract that were negotiated that were added to the contract. So especially if it's in the contract, make sure that it's in there for like the first month. You know what I mean? So you can just, you don't have people coming into your house like me, like fucking 3 months later type stuff, like doing this stuff. You know what I mean? Okay, so you guys get it. Take initiative when it comes to either reminding your landlord to do something or just notifying them in general if something is messing up. Like the last place, I should have notified the moment that I saw some more issues on my AC unit, my main AC unit. I kind of waited a little bit too long, right? So, yeah, just take initiative. That's all I'm trying to say. Uh, and yeah, because like in the states, it's like they have to like attend you within what, like 24 hours to 48 hours, especially if it's something like an emergency or whatever. You know what I mean? So anyways, okay. Now number 9 is most appliances are not included. So what do I mean? I could do a whole video on this. But like, so for example, I have a gas stove here. Last place I had an electric stove. Here I had a gas stove, but I had to buy my own propane tank, right? To be able to use the gas stove, right? And I was like messing around with it. I was like, this thing don't work. I was like, oh, I looked and I was like, oh yeah, they told me I had to get my propane tank. Damn, there goes like $50 or something like that. So I had to get a propane tank. Also, the no place is going to come with a refrigerator, right? Some places might not even come even with a uh like even though I have a gas stove, like a stove top, some places won't even come with that. They won't even come with an electric stove. So you might actually have to go buy that like your first week there. Um, you know, some places I mean, an oven, if you have an oven, like maybe in some of the downtown places, like this place doesn't have an oven. I had to go buy, what do you call it? Like a tabletop oven thing. And I love it, right? I kind of love that I have my own like oven and it fits everything, right? So I'm actually not tripping about that. Like I don't need like one of those conventional ovens in the States. Like a lot of times those things are unnecessary unless you're like a serious baker and you need to just constantly put things in there. But no, I'm not. And like the other ovens, the tabletop ovens, they're great, relatively cheap down here. Paraguay produces absolutely everything now. You guys would be very surprised. Appliances, so things are affordable in that regard. So yeah, so okay, so that's the whole like most appliances are not going to be included like you would expect in America. Like in America, you would at least expect a refrigerator, for example. Here, no. Also, the windows do not come with screens, right? And I got a quote from one person: if I want to install screens, they wanted way too much. They wanted like millions and millions and millions of guaraníes, which are like well over $1,000 USD. I'm like, dude, I bet you I could install my own damn screens for that, or like find somebody way cheaper. So yes, most Paraguayan houses, almost actually like none, are going to come with like screens. What are more common in the U.S. or Canada or whatever, for your windows, or even like a screen door. Like that's not you're not it's not coming with that. Just letting you know, right? Um, Maybe some of the very newest buildings, maybe. I think there was a screen in a building I stayed in like Encarnacion, brand new building with like whatever. But maybe, but like most places are not gonna have that kind of stuff. Okay, so you guys get the picture, right? That most appliances are not going to be included. Okay, number 10, our services are most likely not going to be included. Again, you have to go back to your contract and review what's in the contract. For example, is there going to be some, so like I have, for example, if you guys have seen my video, I have a fence out here. Then I have like my yard, or like my stuff. But then I also have like a little sidewalk area, and unless you pay somebody for either both, you are going to be in charge of uh, taking care of the grass, for example, and the plants or whatever else, you know. So, um, yeah, so you know that's that. Services are most likely not included, but if they are, just make sure that it's in the contract. Okay. Now, 11, just kind of a fun one, but get to know your neighbors, right? And here in Spanish, and you'll see signs around for vecinos en alerta, which means neighborhood watch, basically. You know, so um, yeah, it's good. Like I'm okay. I'll be honest. I don't really know like my neighbors right here, but I always wave at least and say hi. You know, when they're outside, or they pass by my place or I pass by their place. So I don't know them that well. Like my last duplex, I became really good friends with my neighbors there, and we still sometimes see each other up to this day. Right, a guy around my age, you know, he's married and from a good family and all that. So so yeah, but you know, maybe you don't have to like party with your neighbors like I did, but you know, make sure you know saying hola if they pass by and like say hi, buenas tardes or buenos dias, whatever. So you know, it's just a good one to be in good practice. They trust you, you trust them, and all that good stuff. And number 12 is, and I hate to that I have to admit this, but it is the truth. And this comes from locals as well who have told me, and I've experienced this now, is do not expect return deposits. Okay? So in that case that I coming back to the very beginning of my points, that deposit that you're paying, right? Don't expect to get that back. Because in the States, like for example, there's kind of a I guess there would be a standard of like the landlord is always going to foot the bill for painting, for example, what they're going to do no matter what, you know. But here, guess what? That painting is on your dime, is on your deposit, right? And they will not give you your money back. Okay, so that you can kiss that deposit goodbye the moment you pay it. Now, the only caveat is if you pay the double deposit on top of that first month's rent, that double part of it actually is going to go to your last month's of rent, right? But the other half of that uh, is what they're going to keep, right? So don't expect to get that back, right? They may make up some excuses. Oh, there's a mark on the wall. Oh, there's this. Oh, there's that. You know, whatever. You know. So you know, locals have told me. My sister has told me. I've experienced this myself. But don't expect to get the deposit back. Okay. I mean, I guess you could fight it and all that, but like, you know, in my case, I was just like, well, there's other issues like we with the furniture and stuff. Like I assumed that I purchased it, and they said I rented it. If they would have told me I was renting it, I would have never accepted that. But I already had it at my new place by the time they wanted to tell me that. So it was a whole mess, right? But I just like, you know what, whatever. I don't care. It will just even it out with the deposit. I know I'm not getting that back, and I know that you know they would have told me that all the painting is on me anyway. So I just like whatever. And I do have a good relationship with them, but still, it was annoying. I'm not gonna lie, it was very annoying. But anyways, that was number 12. Number 13 is just a bonus one. It's just enjoy your time here in Paraguay. Okay, enjoy your time here, man. A lot of things to know. I mean, we covered a lot of things here, and I'm sorry. I know my videos go a little bit longer than most people's. My bad, but these are important things, man. And again, there's some of these that I can really break down a lot more in detail, and I will. Maybe the whole where to live, but then again, I usually save that for consultations because you guys are so different. Everybody's different, what they want and need, and all this stuff, and they're looking for and lifestyle. So that's where the consultations come in as well, you guys. So links always down below for that as well for consultations. Again, as you could probably tell, I do have quite a bit of experience down here. I've been here for a year and a half, essentially. So always hit me up for consultations, right? Links down below. Get those on the books. I got a discount going at least through the rest of this year here. If you want an hour with me or an hour and 45 minutes, you guys would be surprised. How much people want to go over the hour mark. So that's why I offer those two options, whatever. But anyways, so that's pretty much it. Thank you for tuning in for a long video. Again, I know this is long, but hopefully you guys got some stuff out of this. I won't make it any longer, I promise. Love you guys. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.